there
Yes.
then, and we got a chance to look at
Okay.
all of them.
Yeah, it just seems that the ones that are scheduled for outside get rained.
Yeah, it wasn't that long
I
ago.
think it was 2 people
How good is-
ago. Excuse me. Family that was
In the summertime, we were casting in the shower.
Really? I think Helen saw
This was
something.
when we tried to have.
She was friends with her on
First
Facebook,
Saturday.
and one of her girls' friends, I can't think of her name now. But I'm pretty sure, we looked at it, we said, can't be, and we kept reading more, there was different things came through.
Oh, my
Yeah, they never
goodness.
saw anymore, so I've been meaning, I told Helen the next time you're up there, because she's up there dealing with them a lot, or something.
Yeah, oh, I've heard, I've heard all about
She was
that.
all there.
Yes, she
was.
was
Wow.
involved with those. All right, we are live. As far as I can tell, we're cooking with gas. Woo. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started with the minutes from May. Motion approved.
I'll second it.
Five.
There's only two more of you here. Okay, Jennifer from Worcester Youth sent over the parents' letter that they will be using this year, or already have probably, as well as their calendar for the next couple months. She wasn't able to be here because their normal board meeting, which would have been held last night, was rescheduled, of course, to tonight, so. But she will also be at the next mayor and council meeting to do their annual presentation, so.
Oh, wonderful.
She sent an email that just indicates, let's see. They received their certification again from the Maryland Department of Health. So at the point that she wrote this, which was last Wednesday, they had 20 participants signed up. Each week they'll have a theme: art, fitness, water, STEM, game, nature, animal, and wrap up. And they're going to be offering field trips again this year. So if you have any questions, obviously, feel free to reach out to Jennifer or let me know, and I will. But it looks like they're pretty much back up to full speed. So wonderful. Yes, that is good. Excuse me, my nose is itching like mad. I don't know what that means, but
It's been snowing.
is that what it means? Okay, all right, next on the agenda, just a reminder that in August, our meeting will be at National Night Out, basically, which is August the 2nd. We still have plenty of leftover crafts that we'll use for the evening. Hopefully it won't be too horrifically hot. It was not bad last year, if I recall. Last year was pleasant. Last night was actually pleasant. If you went out and did anything for 4th of July, I was surprised.
Yeah, the whole day was just
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah.
Just a lovely day. My neighbor was roasting some meat, so it was lovely to be outside.
Okay, the equipment library
Yes.
proposal.
So, hello everybody, how are you all? Just a quick update on the actual table tennis park. The contractor is scheduled to finish that as soon as possible, is the best answer I have. It's supposed to actually be started to be finished on Friday of this past week, but our friend who did this for us put on the AGH Gala, put on the Title Health Gala, and then the retirement party for Denise Billing, who is the Peninsula Regional Foundation person for $51 million of her career. So he's been busy. We didn't get finished yet, but I expect that to be finished very, very soon.
What exactly does finishing up involve?
Finished from his perspective means...
Well, no, I mean, finished. What does that mean?
Sure. Finished from his perspective means filling all of the gaps in, obviously around all of the playing area, because there's gaps right now where the concrete and the brick didn't fill up, which was normal, that was going to happen. That has to get redone. The beds have to get created.
And who's designing these beds, these flower beds?
I'm going to assume that my wife, without
Well,
employing
is
her,
she going
and
to
the
be
beautification
doing?
committee, but I'm
The
assuming it's going to be them.
beautification committee is going to be the ones
Designing,
doing this?
designing,
it. Which
yeah.
is which one is the beautification committee? Beautification committee?
It's fairly new this year. Well, Cody actually could probably
Cody
shed
runs it.
more light on that.
Yeah, it's myself and a few other people, basically just some of the areas around town that have been neglected, for lack of a better word. We're trying to kind of bring new life to them. We've done the War Memorial, we've done the planter outside
Okay.
here.
Well, you know, in our parks, we always strive to have native plants.
Right.
So that is an overwhelming thing that I just want you to be aware of. which
Sure.
We're making these, I assume they're more like rain gardens because to displace the runoff. So
Right.
you're gonna be doing that. That sounds very, very good, as long as it's adhering to those
Absolutely, yeah,
things.
we take
So
all
the
that.
beds, so that, you'll be doing that after he finishes filling up
Yes,
the.
yes,
Okay,
after he-
and what else needs to be done in that?
So we've raised enough money to purchase a gazebo on Fairleigh Circle. So we're gonna be putting a gazebo in between the,
Well, now, is this gonna displace, is the little Burbage, whatever pagoda that's in there?
that will be taken down soon.
Okay,
It
I
hasn't
wasn't
really
sure.
been fit for anyone to
That's-
Oh,
use.
no, we haven't been, I couldn't even sit on it as a bench ever. I tried, believe me,
No.
my feet never reached the ground.
No, so that's getting taken, that's part of his taking away.
Okay.
Putting the mulch that's back there is gonna be used in the beds. And then my wife and the beautification committee along with Cody are gonna go back and fill those up.
Okay, well, you know, I know it's no good time to plant plants in the middle of summer, so I assume this will be a fall plant.
Yes, this is not gonna happen overnight.
Sounds
Correct.
very
They did a
exciting.
beautiful job on that Memorial Garden.
Oh,
It's so
yeah,
pretty.
yeah,
Yeah.
It turned out really well.
The question, we had a bunch of people show up to help, which was awesome.
That's the best
It
news.
was very, very cool.
So between that and then the gazebo, that is wonderful.
Yes.
So is this, it's gonna have benches in it on the
A gazebo?
inside?
Yo, it's gonna be an octagon gazebo with 8, or 7, I guess, because you're gonna have a doorway where you can't.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, see, we're like window seats.
Mhm.
I just wanna hear it.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell me what's going on.
Oh, yes, like
I have to be able to tell people when they ask me what's going on in the
a
park.
gazebo that my grandmother could sit in. That's what I wanna have.
Well, and children can have their lunch with their
However they
grandmothers.
want,
That's what-
yes.
I think having a seating thing, that's really what we wanted for Burbage Park anyway, was to have that option of people from downtown going and having their lunch. So this is a wonderful step in that, and they can watch the ping pong games going.
Certainly, and you
And
know,
is that gonna go,
I'm a golfer, so, and also lighting. Lighting's a big thought. You don't wanna be stuck out there with lightning happening or storms. And you can just duck underneath there for a rainstorm to pass by. But essentially, you know how there's a T, and there's 2 patios, and there's an open space back here, it's gonna go right there.
You know, I think it'll look nice aesthetically because for some reason, I feel like the tables in that big
Mhm.
space look smaller.
Yeah,
Like,
they need stuff around
They
them.
do,
need stuff
they do,
around them. It's
and
just-
that'll make it just
Agreed.
visually more appealing.
it's being crowded by that pagoda too, so you feel like
Yeah.
it's,
Oh yeah, the one edge, it feels very.
it just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Pagoda, I don't know that anyone's ever called it that before, but
Well,
okay.
I don't know, what would you call it?
I don't know.
It looks like a Shinto shrine, is sort of what it is.
This is,
You're not wrong.
I was taught you
That's right.
always say the nicest thing possible, and a pagoda is the nicest thing.
There you
ever.
go.
It was funny, the day we went there for the groundbreaking, it was very fitting, there was an empty bottle of Mad Dog 2020. So what it, and I was like, this is why we're here today, to eliminate this, put life here, and that's
You
where
were
we
such
are.
an optimist.
What size is the gazebo planned?
Yes, the
Okay,
$5,000-ish one.
okay, but I mean, any idea?
8 foot is, we left it about an 8 to 10 foot
Okay,
space.
that's what I was, yeah.
I'm not sure what Brian exactly
Yeah.
asked me, but I wanted at
Nice
least
to
10
see
feet
it.
there so I could
There's
have.
a picture that you could send or
I
design.
mean, if I ordered one today, I'm
it's
gonna get
just-
it for a year, so.
No, I'm just saying if there's a, yeah, something that,
There's-
just to give us an idea, something
Best
similar
guess
to.
on
I'll show
this
you.
table, how far is 8 feet from the end? Over
This
to
is
6,
probably
like 10
8?
10.
This is probably a
10-foot table?
10-foot table.
So I'm thinking of a gazebo much like this.
I think that's lovely. May I pass your phone?
Sure,
around?
sure. Here, just like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they all want to touch my phone.
I washed my hands right before I came and I washed them again, so. And I have
Same
good,
one, yeah.
good self-control.
So natural color.
Just something very much like that would fit in Berlin, that would look really good.
Well, I think that's very
Yeah,
pretty.
that
Before we even think about purchasing it, we will
Well, what a
certainly.
nice thing that you're now, what started as something great for the town is now even becoming
It's gonna
better.
be better, yeah. And then, you know, like version 3, I've even just said already, we really want to talk and think about sale costs for shade during the summertime, because it might make sense for people to get out there more, like we have at Henry Park.
Yeah.
Or with stuff. So anyway, why I'm here today is twofold. One is the one we're going to be working on with Mr. Dale Short. The other one is something that Carol Rose is going to be working on with What's County with the library. But essentially, we want to build a little library for ping pong balls and ping pong paddles, table tennis balls and table tennis paddles, if you want to say it correctly. And it would essentially be just like a little library for books or food, and it would store paddles and balls. Myself, as well as others, have already reached out and actually purchased stuff. We're just waiting for a thing to put them in.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited. The final design is set to look like this, but I hope, we'll see this come together and it'll look better than this pencil drawing, but, I don't know what to expect other than plexiglass in the front, some shelves on the inside, and then he wants to put a tray for loose balls on the other. I look at this, I never look at anything as anything final, because I was a software developer, things are always moving and changing, and if we don't look at the design of the inside of this, we'll upgrade it and change it to hold balls and paddles better. I don't know how that'll shake out inside, but it's gonna be some structure like this that has balls and
Probably
paddles.
just a simple lip on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Something simple.
Yeah.
Two lips,
Yeah.
something.
And holes that you could put the paddles on so they would.
Slots.
Yeah, or
Like a-
slots.
Kind of like a dish drainer style
Something.
thing would be
Yeah.
appropriate.
Either way,
Exactly.
adorable and makes sense because you need them.
Yeah, without question, it's something we definitely need,
You
and,
don't have it, it's not.
This whole thing just adds to the charm of this town,
correct.
including this.
Yeah, and I don't want to mess this up or cloud this up with anything that's a possibility, but Worcester County Library and Carol Rose are trying to make a little library happen here in the same space.
Lending library for books.
Yes, a lending library.
Oh, okay,
In the
okay.
same space.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, they have one.
And they would be
All
sponsoring
right,
it.
and
bringing
then-
Yeah, they'd be
stuff over.
sponsoring and bringing stuff.
Oh,
forward.
that would be even better, because we have really good books in there.
Yes.
I was gonna say Presbyterian Church, but theirs is,
Well, you could grab a book and sit in the
Yours is-
hall.
Yeah.
yeah.
The gazebo.
Correct. And, Carol might have been here tonight, but she's with Herschel in the hospital with
Yeah.
Christian, so. She could be here tonight, but that's what we hope for and plan to build. And Dale's gonna do it, Blakely's husband is.
Blakely works downstairs.
Yes.
If you don't, if for those of you who may not.
Yes, for those who may not know Blakely. And so I hope you guys like it, I think it's a good idea, but that's part of our plan to get this rolling in phase one, and then also, on the same line, we are, Plaque That is printing a sign for us
Oh,
for the
okay,
park.
like rules.
Just a little welcome signs for people that come to the park, that'll be printed on aluminum and on a really nice.
I love it.
Nice.
The tables,
Yeah,
love
and
it.
we figure if we call this the tables at Burbridge Park, we can put other little table games there, like chess
Chess,
or
yeah.
checkers, like, those are very easy structures to make
Chess.
happen.
Table.
Patricia's wanted to do something
Yeah.
like that for a
Well,
long time.
if we can talk after the meeting. I
Yeah, that's why
really
our whole plan was
appreciate
to call it the tables, so we
Yeah.
can have other
One of
games.
those Jenga games, those big fat.
And this is
Jengas.
what I do in my fun time.
it. Yeah,
In case you wanna-
you're very, yes, well, you're speaking my language there. I do worry about, people not being, I mean, as much as I know most people are respectful, there are people who are not respectful of
Mhm.
other town property. Have you considered how you're going to secure, or if you're going to try to secure it, you're just gonna leave it there, and if they get broken or stolen every night, someone's gonna replace them the next day?
Until they stop. There's basketballs over in Henry Park every single day. And nobody steals them, they just play with them and leave them there.
Well,
I'm hoping.
I agree, I salute your optimism. But I just like to put in that little
Sure,
dose of
sure,
realism
sure.
for, that you have considered it, and,
And I've actually considered one other thing, and that is the guy who lives directly across the street, his name is Bo. And Bo's a very nice guy, and I'm gonna make even closer friends with Bo and get a camera put up. So I
Well,
can see what
that-
sort of stuff happens at our little library.
I don't need to know anything about that.
Anyway, that's my secondary plan. If we start having issues, bigger issues, we can have a neighbor who
I
happens to have a camera pointed the right way.
I think that that's absolutely true, that none of us are ever truly in a private place when we're
Mhm.
outdoors anymore.
Especially not outside.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
So, well, very good, thank you for answering my,
And the fact that there is no lock on it really speaks volumes about our town.
Mhm.
And I think for everybody that comes in there and sees that with no lock on there,
Well, it's
will
just-
know what a great town it is.
Correct. If you put a lock, you'll be more inclined to see people steal.
It's an atmosphere of trust if you don't have this.
Well, if you put a
That's how
lock
you
on.
want to design it.
Defeats the purpose of even having it. Yeah, so.
And it's not like you could get really violent with ping pong paddle, I mean.
Hey, I've watched Vin Diesel movies, I know.
Right.
I worked in prison.
So anyway, that's the plans, and,
20 years working.
as soon as,
Time frame on that.
I'm gonna tell Dale to go ahead if you guys are okay with this. I don't know how far up this has to go up the ladder to get this started, but we're still sort of in design and construction phase, so I figured it was sort of a thing you could put right.
And what do you think? I can certainly just include it as part of my report. I don't know that it's something,
I don't think it's that invasive. So,
Yeah.
those of you that don't know me, Mayor Zach Tyndall, I wanted to kind of stay back a little bit. Not normally a place that I come to the Board or Commission meetings. I do respect everybody's independence to operate. But I am here for one of your other upcoming agenda items. I will add that the project is similar to what the city of Annapolis has over at their tables. And what they actually do is much more budget friendly. It's just a 5-gallon bucket with paddles and balls in the center. So I think that this is an upgrade from that. And
Yeah.
it's very nice, but I don't think it'll take.
We're gonna one up
no,
Annapolis.
and I don't
Okay,
think.
one up the city of Annapolis.
I think
Do
the
that.
parks,
We'll
it's
repeat
something
that.
the parks are gonna shut that approval.
I don't think it would be very invasive, so.
So why don't we have a motion on that?
I move that we accept the proposal to have the paddle and ball library.
Sacristy, we could call it a sacristy.
Oh,
I'm just kidding, I'm kidding.
Hey, I mean, I feel like my pagoda back there. What we don't call it a library.
Little library.
Little
Well, I wasn't
library.
done, I can say that.
As proposed.
Okay, second, yeah, go ahead.
You go ahead.
I'll third.
I'll give Laura that second.
It's her turn.
And thank you for all of the information about what's happening on that.
No doubt.
Great.
Just for the record, can I?
All in favor?
Yeah?
Bye.
Okay, great.
Good.
All right, yeah, just keep it posted on when
Oh,
they
yeah.
think they'll, be,
I will,
yeah.
I will tell you everything. I'll let you know as soon as the guys are done working on the project.
Okay.
And then what?
Then what?
Yeah.
Continue raising money for the skate park. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to miss this. I'm not going to listen to my friends. I want to keep watching.
Just crap out on me.
I know.
This is exciting.
Okay, next is Decatur Park Playground. And I will let you lead into
Okay,
that.
So I don't mind at all. Once again, Mayor Zach Tyndall. So we brought this up, I think, what, a year ago almost?
Yeah,
Looking at the playground equipment and trying to hopefully pursue a grant application for an inclusive playground that would span multiple ages at Stephen Decatur Park. As noted in our most recent report, you can see that some of the equipment is beginning to deteriorate. I played on it as a kid, so it's probably hit its lifespan on some of those pieces. So with that being said, Mary and I have talked a little bit. She usually spearheads the grant application at possibly moving the inclusive playground to the top of the list. And I think the numbers that we originally got for this were around the $900 to $1 million range. So I would say, given the pricing the way that it is currently, we would want to bring some of those numbers current. We're probably looking at a little north of $1 million grant application at Stephen Decatur Park. With that being said, there is one idea here in front of us. I think what we would do is probably price out toward the mid-range of what we would like to see. And then, given the scope of the project, and Mary can speak to this a little bit better than I can, it would go to an RFP and then a bidding process. So the design would be further identified, I think, through that process.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then I believe it's Sarah?
Yes, I'm
And
Sarah.
Dr. Sarah, and I can never get your last name.
It's Oleksak.
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 I'm sorry, can you just spell that?
Yeah, sure. It's Oleksak.
Easy enough.
Just
And
wanted to know.
And the name of your physical therapy
I
practice?
Bloom Physical Therapy in Berlin. It's at the Healing Arts Center, and I work in pediatrics. So I've done this with Wycomico County, and working on their inclusive playground at the Henry S. Parker fields, and so it was a great environment. I have lots of kids that play up there. I get kids pretty much from all over, and would love to kind of do what I can to support that here, because I think it's really a needed space for sure.
And we would appreciate any insight you could provide. It doesn't have to be in this setting per se, but I did just want to introduce you to the group.
Thanks. Yeah.
And I don't believe we've ever even met
I
in
don't think
person,
so.
so it's very
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Also, Donna Tellinger, a local resident, has wanted to help spearhead this as well. I believe she's tuned in via Facebook this evening. With that being said, Mary does typically handle our grant application for this project, but Mary's got a full plate. I don't know if anybody's noticed or not, but she's got a very, very full plate and still makes it look seamlessly easy to complete. So, but we're gonna not put this on Mary's plate. We are gonna put this on a grant writer's plate. So Mary can help provide some insight as to what she believes could be a successful grant application, but then we're gonna turn this over to somebody that's gonna handle this project as far as the writing side.
Like a professional grant writer?
Correct. So we have $5,000 a year that we started last year putting into each fiscal year budget to help offset some of our grant writing needs. So we'll take a look at maybe the best person to spearhead this and go from there. But I think that we're going to need to tie in some of our engineers as far as the stormwater management and then possibly some design and engineering perspective. But
Well, this looks like $1 million.
it does. It looks like $1 million. It looks, now, with that being said, I think it's like a 7,000 square foot. It probably says it somewhere on here.
I may not have caught all of the nuances of the.
Yeah, so the last page, this particular one, and I mean, they vary, is like 6,633 square feet. So with that being said, what we would enlist the help of our engineers doing is identifying the best place for a site like this, and probably go a little bit on the bigger side, like maybe 7,000 square feet. And then probably have to look at like what vegetation would have to be adjusted, and then what we would come back in and replant around to keep this. We want to preserve the natural beauty of Stephen Decatur Park, but also add something that all ages can play and all abilities can play as well. So.
One of the reasons why I took my kids to the Stephen Decatur Park when we lived in Ocean City was because of the trees. So
Canopy.
that would be my only request, would be leave it shady.
As much as we can,
Yeah,
right? So
yes, yeah.
some of those older trees we're noticing are
Already-
starting to hit their
Like take
lifespan.
the pine trees in general are, those are supposed to be harvested anyway, so we need to establish a tree replanting program. Just that maybe we can come up with an ordinance that would.
I think we can probably do that without ordinance. I think we could probably take a look at.
Go for Tree City or whatever.
We could also, once this is in place and we have an idea of what we're having to maybe adjust, then we can go back through and say, what's the rule of thumb? Maybe a couple trees per, to help kind of try and.
And not to change the subject, but it would be awesome to have a tree buffer along 113.
Just,
I keep saying that because it's just, would be such an enhancement to that side when people are walking around because, you know, obviously.
Right.
You know. But anyways.
You know, that could be all part of, I think that so much of that property is with the state, and, you know, that has to be coordinated with their water plans, which, you know, they need to modify their very modest water management programs there. So that would be something working with the state highway administration would really benefit us, I think, at some point, if we can ever talk to them.
Well, and our public works crews have been doing a great job working in our parks as well. I'm sure you've met Cody, right? So everybody knows Cody. He's our new superintendent with Public Works. And you've really spearheaded a lot of the parks, you, Jimmy, and the team. And so we can start looking at those things. We also have some other things that I would like to see. I mean, we used to have fishing. I don't know how everybody feels on here, but we used to have fishing at Stephen Decatur Park. I remember as a kid going there and fishing. It's not in a condition to do that, but I think that there's a lot of young children that would really enjoy doing that. Or at least I did when I was a kid. Yeah.
Does the state prevent us from doing that?
I don't know. We're gonna take a look at
It's
it.
just not set up to, if you cast a a line, you would just hook everything under the sun except a fish.
It's like-
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's
literally
just-
used to
yeah.
catch a lot of
Yeah.
little
I think
fish,
that
and you
would
would
be
find the
simple.
families there,
When it
so.
was first built, it was just barren, so a
Yeah.
lot of little fish could get in there and, you know. but
There's
it's
probably
all-
still
It would
plenty
probably
of
have
fish
to be
in there.
dredged a
It's-
little.
it's
and-
just probably-
I think we would have to enlist DNR or somebody that specializes in that, because we wouldn't want to destroy the vegetation, we want to enhance it by adding some,
Yeah,
some,
absolutely. It's
some
just
lights
easier
there.
to read you.
Well, there's things that you can do to treat the water so that it's not clear, so that vegetation doesn't grow as much. So, I mean, it might be something.
This would be a wonderful project.
And that's
Some
looking a little bit
project.
more on a macro perspective at Stevens Decatur Park. But do we need a recommendation? I think you prioritized the grant levels that you would like to see. What I would like to ask the group to do, and correct me if I'm out of line, I'm used to running mayor and council meetings, but what I would like to ask you to do is to reallocate those or prioritize this project to the top of the list and then make that in the form of a recommendation to the mayor and council so that we can pursue that.
Excuse me, I neglected to bring the list from last year. That was one more thing that
It was
slipped
It
my
was
mind.
skate park, it was tennis table park.
Sorry, Tony, but
It was
I
weird.
think
Well,
we
it's
gotta-
real,
we gotta
that's
put this
getting
one up to
done.
the top.
But I can certainly put that together tomorrow and send it out to you just for review.
Weird.
Are
Read through
our
the
permanent
issues.
bathrooms in Stephen Decatur Park already on the list, or they don't, is this what's gonna be?
Yes,
new?
we're working,
I mean-
we've been approved for that, we're working on
Okay, so
that.
that's not part of what this is?
No,
Okay.
no,
I
this
just
will
kind
make,
of.
when it will happen is, your guess is as good as anyone else's, because the entire construction industry is.
No, I just wanted to be sure that this was not going to, even
Yeah.
though I love this project and all
The,
of
the
that.
restrooms in Stephen Decatur Park are already approved. The
Funded,
basketball,
they're funded. Yeah,
funded,
they're
fully,
funded.
yeah, not, well, I can't say fully funded because the budget has changed a little bit since the,
I
Grant
accept,
was
I
submitted.
accept your.
We would need the bathrooms if we have this, because so many more people would be.
Well, no, the bathrooms, just to update, the bathrooms, like Mary has
They're
said,
coming.
Yeah.
this grant is really strange because we apply and
It's
it's
the
a really
worst.
weird window. So we've received notice that the bathrooms have been funded at our grant request.
Right.
As Mary's noted, that number to actually construct those is a little further north
Yeah.
of what the grant funds are.
And then the
You
town
put-
either has to come up with the money,
Which-
or you have to get an outside, or somebody to
or
pay for the
reduce the
money.
scale something.
Right, right,
The-
right.
This grant is the one that we submit late summer, but we don't find out until the following summer. So needless to say, the construction industry blew up in that almost year.
Absolutely.
So, and then the Henry Park basketball lights.
We're optimistic
Again, this is
on-
part of this particular grant. The grant application has been approved, meaning that they have said, yes, this is a good project. But the funding has not yet gone through. This is just the process. So that we expect to hear anytime.
So realistically, even if we pursue this project as a grant opportunity for August,
We wouldn't
We
even
would
know
not.
anything until next year.
and it probably wouldn't even be funded until another 6 after that.
If we're lucky.
Yeah.
When do we find out about the basketball?
If Maryland decides to.
Because we actually have 10K earmarked in our account for that specifically.
Well, I mean, that'll help quite a bit, especially with the inflated prices.
Yeah, you did.
Well, we got it right when the changes were happening internally here, so I just sort of held that dollars just.
No, we're good, I mean,
Yeah. Oh, no,
we'll
no.
find out about the project and then we'll be able to move forward.
Anytime. It's, you know, it could be tomorrow, it could be a month, 2 months from now.
Okay, we're super interested in that.
We're at the mercy of
Yeah.
the Board of Public Works.
And we are open, I mean, I think it's very important for us to continue to put good projects forward. They're getting at least favorable, well, funded and then favorable reviews on our grant applications, so I want us to continue to do that. This would be one of the larger projects that we would submit.
There's some logistics with this one that would need to be worked out. You can't submit a grant application without a budget. You can't develop a budget if you don't quite know what you want to do. So there's some,
Would we be
Work that we need
removing
to do on.
some of the play equipment that's there now?
Yeah,
And we've
I would
already
say-
identified which ones those are going to be?
I would say probably all of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just because of the way that it's laid
Should be
out,
read.
the age of all of it, none of that is
No,
new.
no.
Maybe the top lot, I don't know.
And some of that stuff could
The big
potentially
piece of
be-
equipment as well, that whole business is, okay. Okay, and even the caterpillar, huh?
The worm.
The worm.
It's a worm.
It's a caterpillar.
I won't miss any of that.
No, I won't miss
I
any.
think I'll miss the caterpillar, or the worm.
The
I
worm.
admire the people who
Is that the
get
red
to
thing
it
that just goes up and over?
Over and over and over again to keep that, I mean, it's mostly paint now, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
Little cushion.
So, yes, if the group could reprioritize and put this at the top, I think it would go a long way. We would ask the mayor and council's approval as well on pursuing the grant application, because it does have some budgetary implications. So we could, with your recommendation, we could potentially get that on our next meeting.
So recommended.
It's a nice skate park too.
We'll take that as a motion.
Just put this at the top and
Well, I think that there's other things that inhibit the skate parks being priority. You know, this is really a doable project that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
is really, as you said, it would help our children so much, and everybody would be
Well,
involved.
and what's there now is an eyesore.
Well,
you know, and
you're
it's
starting to
dangerous,
get
some
on
of it.
danger level. Yeah.
No, to be clear, it's really, when it was inspected, it is not
Oh,
dangerous.
no, but it's, yeah, okay, yes, I take that back.
It's not dangerous, it's just unsightly. Some of it.
Yeah, there's probably with the surface, especially with the large structure,
Mhm.
I guess
Yeah,
the guy from Game Time was telling me the way it was installed was not
Not right.
proper back in the day, but we're having a lot of trouble with the surface kind of giving way in spots,
Yeah.
and so.
well, I'm glad that that's all gonna be taken care of a year and a half to 2 years from now.
we hope so. We're gonna put our best foot forward. Mary and I have talked about different structures as far as grant applications. On the lower end, if we can't make this a viable project, we would pursue some of the design and engineering funds.
Yeah.
But I've said I'd like to swing for the fence. So we're gonna swing for the fence on this, and hopefully, as long as we can get everything and Mary feels that it's a competitive grant application, then we'll move forward. I told her, put the brakes on it at any point if you don't feel like it's a strong grant application, so.
Smart.
You know, Donna's a great grant writer.
Yeah, well, I've been talking to Donna. She's on the Facebook, listening in right now. Well, I'm a little older calling it the Facebook.
You are.
But she's listening in, so I'm hoping that we could get her to help us with the grant application, so.
She's good.
Okay, well, Patricia made a motion to continue to move forward with
Yes,
this.
I move that we continue to move forward as suggested by Mayor Zach Kendall.
And to prioritize this at the top of
Right,
the,
the development list.
I'll second it.
I'm in favor.
You're seconding it, I'll make that one.
Okay, okay.
thank you all. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and that, actually, the development list is not scheduled, but it goes to the mayor and council right around this time every year, so.
And it was
It's
so
time
high up
for it.
on there anyway.
What's that?
It was high up anyway, and we've closed so many things off.
That is the most exciting thing, is that we've gotten so many things accomplished. And thank you, Mary, for your proficiency in grant applications so that we succeeded where others may have failed.
Well, thank you for thanking me.
I agree with that.
So
Mary is very special in many ways, and we need to always recognize that.
thank
Your
you.
We're
work.
just so grateful. I don't think that anything would ever get done with the parks if it wasn't for Mary. And of course, that radiates the town, but the parks is the most important part of the town.
Cody has taken on, he's gotten more done in the last few months than have been done in quite some time, so.
I was wondering what was happening.
Yeah,
I had no
yeah.
idea that
Yeah, I
this
saw
was
really-
the Energizer Bunny that was.
Yeah, I saw
taking
the
care of
mulch
it.
pile one day, and the next day it was gone, and I was like, wow.
Well, and actually, it kind of moves into the next item, which is just an update on old business. You'll hopefully have noticed that all of the rubberized surfacing has been
Yes.
removed.
Yeah.
Don't yet have the schedule on when they're going to start paving, but they have a number of projects in town, so they're gonna kind of coordinate that
I
all
went down there when they
together.
were peeling it back. It was amazing how easy
Yeah,
it came up
yeah.
and didn't damage the surface
Right,
underneath.
right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The amazing
I mean,
thing
people
is
are able
how-
to walk right now. I thought it would be a
I have,
downtime for
like,
walking.
Yeah.
I
no.
have seen people walking on
Yeah.
the, on.
Yeah.
It's already in
I was
a
down when they were working on it, and then I went down after it was
Yeah.
done. I was really
Yeah.
impressed.
Unless they're actively in an area, there's no reason people can't walk on it. It's an asphalt
Right,
surface,
it's
so,
what,
yeah.
yeah.
Mary, is it impossible to connect that sidewalk to the new trail? Impossible?
It is not impossible, but there's more to it than just doing
And
it.
I think maybe what we should do is look at it in conjunction with, like, once we have an idea of where this
This plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
would go,
Yeah.
because then there's money in the budget to connect the sidewalk to the park, right? Because it does end rather abruptly.
Yeah, because strollers, that's what I'm
Right.
thinking, like,
But we don't want
Wheelchairs.
to, we don't want to put this in right away because of the grant application without understanding where we want to put the.
Right, we would hate to put it in and then tear half of it out
Yeah.
doing this project.
because
so.
they're already gonna have to work around, high ground or.
Right, stormwater was
Yes.
part of the reason the sidewalk ended where it did, because continuing it would have required a lot more remediation work for stormwater.
Mhm.
So it's not as simple as just putting down
Right.
a concrete path or whatever, so. It's not impossible, but it's probably not,
It's just gonna.
it's not timely to do it right now, I don't
Just
think.
until after this, yeah.
Well,
It can be incorporated into this.
and there's funding in FY '23's budget, which we literally just started 5 days ago, for continuing that sidewalk down to the park. Now, I don't know where we're gonna put the bathrooms
Mm.
exactly,
Well,
because
No, I mean,
the water
what
line.
the intent was for the FY '23 budget with that sidewalk was not to run it across the park, but just continue down
Yeah.
Tripoli Street to connect to the parking lot.
Right.
But the bathrooms where the porta potties are,
No,
they're not
no,
going
they're-
there.
no.
They're gonna
Because
go
the
where the
water
water
line-
line is, a
yeah.
little closer up.
But it's
Where
Water
that
line is
fountain
out.
used to be?
Water
I think
fountain.
so, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think-
that general area, but that's where the water line is, so.
I know, right where, yeah, good. And there'll be a water bottle refilling place now.
That's the intent. I mean, at this point, budget becomes the big question. It really does.
And they're not cheap either. What are,
No.
we just put 2 in for the rails to trails. I wanna say 2 of them came to,
It was
they're
several.
like $8,000 each.
Yeah.
I think they're $8,000.
Good.
So maybe we just had a faucet.
So, yeah, I think, I mean, it's something we would like to see. We're trying to get to the ones that are, they have the filtered, and they also have the dog dish. down below.
Yeah.
So,
The dog dish
but
was great.
I think they're $8,000 pop.
Yeah, they're very expensive.
Isn't there a water, something on the outside of the permanent toilets?
Well, there is, but this, instead of just a water fountain,
Yeah.
like what we have at Henry Park,
Right.
it would also incorporate the bottle.
Oh, I
fountain
see.
station.
I see.
One way or another, there will either be just a water fountain or
Or-
both.
Yeah, I just figured it would be incorporated with the new
Where is the
bathroom.
rail to trail one? The-
So those would be, we actually just pursued the grant application for phase 1.
When he said put them in, he meant in the budget.
Yeah.
They're in that grant,
Not
they're in that
installed.
grant application.
Yes,
But they're, I
yes,
think
yes,
they're
grant application.
ELKY
So
is the brand.
the rails to trails was gonna go behind Heron Park along the, where will that go from and just,
Phase 1 that we just applied for would go from, if it's funded, from Heron Park, that intersection right there by the Activities Depot.
Yep.
It would run from there to Broad Street, I believe. I think that's phase 1. And then phase 2, which is, the match is funded in FY '23's budget, so we'll apply again next May. That would go from Broad Street to the outskirt, right at the town limits on Evans Road.
Down by the county park then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and eventually you
Yeah,
could
there.
get kind of over there maybe.
We would hope, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to connect with Snow Hill, who's been very active on the trail front
They
as
just
well.
got approved.
Well,
Well, they got something approved.
I think they're working on their trail network.
'Cause we wrote letters and sent them in and all, we kept getting updates about all that, so they got, something went past and got approved, I'm not sure what part.
I
it
can't
was.
speak to that part. I know that they're very active on the trail front.
Wouldn't that be
so-
something if it's connected one day?
Well, we're working on that.
Cool.
Yep.
That would be like a 12 or 15 mile.
Mhm.
It would be a nice trail, so. I think you sent this to us.
Isn't that
I like
right?
this.
Okay.
Okay, that's about all I have.
Very
If anyone
exciting.
else has anything.
Very exciting.
Thank you again for allowing me to come.
Mhm.
Thank you, Sarah, for coming, and thank you, Donna. I know you're listening in. Hopefully, we can get your assistance with helping write the grant.
Sorry, Donna.
You're not here, so you're nominated.
Yeah. Now we're on
Mm.
publicly.
Right, right. Okay, anybody else have anything?
I move to be in the meeting.
There you go. Second?
In favor.
Okay, thank you all. And I will see you, I'll send out a reminder for, National Night Out.
We'll just be using up some of the old.
Yeah, yeah, we had so much left over when things were canceled because of
The
COVID.
Buckbook Wildlands Trail Bill, HB 82, has been fully passed by both the Senate and the House with 0 votes in opposition as headed to the governor to be signed.